7:50.
They should know, and they need to know what their government is doing to protect our homeland.
7:50, Big 550 KTRS. Brad Garrett, ABC crime and terrorism consultant. Good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, McGraw.
So this past weekend, or this past couple of days, we had an interesting reaction, both in the Los Angeles School District and the New York School District. They both basically got the same threat. We don't know from where or who, but it was almost identical. L.A. shut down their schools. New York laughed it off. Sort of brings up the question, anybody can make a threat at any time, anywhere. How do we handle all these threats going forward?
Because you just have to vet them out, McGraw, the best you can to see if they're credible. There are a number of things, I have it in front of me, of this particular communication that for people like me are just full of red flags, that it's not credible. Clearly, NYPD and the mayor in New York aligned themselves with that belief. I think LA was running on fear based on what happened in San Bernardino. I get that. But you still have to look at what you have, and you don't want to play even into hoaxsters' mindset of shutting down a school system if, in fact, it's not true.
Certainly understandable. And it's all well and good when it's a hoax. But God forbid something were to happen and the L.A. schools would have gone to school, and then all of a sudden the parents and the teachers say you got that threat and you did nothing about it.
And that's exactly, I think, the reason, McGraw, they did what they did. All I'm suggesting is you have to let cooler heads prevail. People who look at threats all the time, I don't know who they showed this to. LAPD has got a credible threat assessment unit within the police department. But, it's grandiose. It's entirely too big. It uses terms that really don't fit Islamic extremists. Now, could I be completely off that this is real? Yeah, but how many legitimate big-time threats do they tell us in advance they're going to do? Nobody does that. It's really going to do an attack. So you have to start with that and work backwards. So, yes, it is a risk and a judgment call, but I will tell you the hundreds of threats that come in every day to local, to the feds, etc., that you and I never hear about. Is something that folks deal with daily.
I want to go back to something you said just a moment ago, and that is, and I've often said this, I've never said it publicly, but it's nobody calls in a bomb threat if they're serious about bombing something.
Of course. You're calling it a bomb threat, McGraw, because you want attention. It's just like swatters. Somebody calls into the St. Louis PD or the county and said, so-and-so has just shot their wife, they're about to shoot their kids, whatever. And so you send out the SWAT team because they want attention and they want to make the system jump. This email fits that profile.
Carly Fiorina said something interesting in the debate the other day. She said that the Patriot Act was signed in 2001 and the iPhone came out in 2007. Almost making the point that we're a full 2 or 3 or 4 technological generations from when the Patriot Act first started. So it's almost like it's impossible to check all of the things and ways these bad boys can communicate with each other.
Right, and you add to that, I agree, and you add to that, McGraw, encryption. Apparently Farouk and Malik talked to each other through some sort of encryption 2, 3, 4 years ago, before they ever met, about jihad and martyrdom, etc. I think the Paris bad guys used encryption to plan that attack and move around the night it occurred. That is an unbelievable problem for law enforcement and the intelligence community, because that's an encryption that they have not broken to date.
And it's almost like we need to reassess how we go about our daily lives and just sort of agree that if there's a bomb threat, we're going to have to sort of work through it. And God forbid somebody's wrong about it, we're just going to have to say, well, this is the way we choose to live.
Right, and unfortunately, you're going to have to trust the professionals to decide what's credible and what's not, because you just don't want to overreact to these things, because then you've already mentioned it creates fear in the public. That's not what you want. You want the public to have confidence and to tell you when they see things that should be checked out.
And almost allow the authorities the ability to be wrong if, God forbid, somebody calls in a bomb threat and, God forbid, something were to happen.
Correct.
Yeah, really interesting. Brad Garrett, ABC crime and terrorism analyst and FBI man. Thanks for checking in, Brad. Merry Christmas.
Take care. Same to you, McGraw.
7:55.